Hello everyone, and welcome back to Romance Rewind Stories. Before we dive into today's incredible story, I have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying these heartwarming tales, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. It's quick, it's free, and it's the best way to support us in bringing you more emotional romance stories. And here's something I'd love to know. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I always enjoy seeing our amazing community from around the world. Oh, and if this story touches your heart, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us grow and reach more people who love these kinds of tales. Now, let's get into today's story. She pretended to be pregnant to escape her ex. A stranger said, "I'll be the father." Freya Winters pressed herself against the brick wall of the coffee shop, her heart hammering so hard she could hear it in her ears. Across the street she could see him, Derek, her ex-boyfriend of 3 years who refused to accept that ex meant over. For 6 months since their breakup, he'd shown up everywhere, her apartment building, her workplace, her gym, her favorite restaurants. The police said they couldn't do anything without an actual threat. But Derek's obsessive texts, his constant presence, his refusal to move on, that was threat enough for Freya. "You look like you're about to pass out," a deep voice said beside her. Freya turned to find a tall man with dark hair and concerned grey eyes watching her. He was probably in his mid-30s, dressed in an expensive suit, holding a coffee in one hand and a briefcase in the other. "I'm fine," she said automatically, then glanced back at the street. Derek was looking around, clearly searching for someone, searching for her. "You don't look fine," the stranger observed. "You look terrified. Do you need help?" "Unless you can make my stalker ex-boyfriend disappear, no," Freya said, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. "He won't leave me alone. I've tried everything, blocked him, changed my number, filed police reports. Nothing works." The stranger followed her gaze to Derek, his expression hardening. "The guy in the blue jacket. How did you—" "He's looking around like a predator hunting prey. It's obvious." He turned back to Freya, studying her for a moment. Then he did something completely unexpected. He pulled her close, one arm around her waist, and said loudly enough for nearby pedestrians to hear, "Sweetheart, I've been looking everywhere for you. The doctor's appointment is in 20 minutes. We don't want to be late for the ultrasound." Freya froze, confused. Then she saw Derek's head snap in their direction, his eyes narrowing as he took in the intimate embrace. "Play along," the stranger whispered in her ear. "Trust me." Without fully understanding why, Freya did. She leaned into the stranger's embrace, placing a hand on her stomach in a protective gesture. "I'm sorry, honey. I just needed some air. Morning sickness." The stranger, her sudden fake boyfriend, pressed a kiss to her temple that felt surprisingly gentle. "I know, baby. But we really do need to go. Our little one is waiting to say hello." Derek crossed the street, his face red with anger. "Freya, what the hell is this?" "Derek," Freya said, her voice steadier than she felt with the stranger's solid presence beside her. "What are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same thing," Derek spat, his eyes moving between her and the stranger. "Who's this?" "I'm Caspian," the stranger said smoothly, extending his free hand while keeping his other arm protectively around Freya. "Freya's fiancé. And you are?" "Fiancé," Derek's voice rose. "Freya, this is insane. We just broke up 6 months ago. You can't be engaged. You can't be—" His eyes dropped to where Freya's hand rested on her stomach, and his face went white. "You're pregnant?" "3 months, Caspian answered, before Freya could speak. "We're very excited, though I'm confused about who you are and why you're upset about my fiancé's pregnancy. I'm Derek, Freya's boyfriend." "Ex-boyfriend," Freya corrected firmly, finding her voice. "Very ex, as in, we broke up 6 months ago and I've asked you repeatedly to stop following me." "Following you? I'm not—" Derek started, but Caspian interrupted. You've been standing across the street for 15 minutes watching the coffee shop entrance. That's surveillance, not coincidence. His voice was calm but held an edge of steel. And I have to tell you, as Freya's fiancé and the father of her child, I'm very uncomfortable with someone stalking the woman I love. Derek looked between them, something dangerous flickering in his eyes. This is bullshit. She's lying. She's making this up to what? To make you leave her alone? Caspian stepped slightly in front of Freya, his posture protective without being aggressive. If she's had to invent a fiancé and a pregnancy to get you to accept that your relationship is over, that tells me everything I need to know about you. You don't know anything about us, Derek snarled. I know that she's terrified of you. I know that she was hiding against a wall when I found her, and I know that if I see you near her again, I'll be filing a restraining order on her behalf. And unlike her, I have lawyers who will make sure it sticks. Caspian pulled out a business card and handed it to Derek. That's my attorney. If you have any questions about Freya's relationship status or the legitimacy of our engagement and pregnancy, you can direct them to him. Otherwise, stay away from my family. Derek stared at the card, Caspian Sterling, CEO, Sterling Industries, and something in his expression changed. Fear, maybe, or recognition of someone who actually had the power to make his life difficult. This isn't over, Derek said, but he was already backing away. Yes, Freya said firmly, it is. They watched Derek disappear around the corner before Caspian released her, stepping back to a respectful distance. I'm sorry for the invasion of personal space, but he looked like the type who'd only respond to another man claiming territory, as archaic as that is. Freya realized she was shaking. You just told my stalker ex that I'm pregnant and engaged to you, to a complete stranger. I know, Caspian said calmly. Would you like to sit down? You look like you might actually faint now. They ended up back inside the coffee shop, Caspian ordering her herbal tea. Since you're supposedly pregnant, with a slight smile that made Freya realize how attractive he was when he wasn't in protection mode. So, she said, wrapping her hands around the warm cup. Caspian Sterling, CEO. That's who you are? Guilty, he admitted. And before you ask, yes, I knew what I was doing when I gave him that card. Derek looked like someone who'd backed down from power and money. Bullies usually do. Why did you help me? Freya asked. You don't know me. You could have just walked past. Caspian was quiet for a moment, stirring his coffee. My sister had a stalker in college. Campus security did nothing. The police did nothing. And one night he broke into her dorm room. She's okay now, he added quickly, seeing Freya's expression, but she wasn't for a long time. I couldn't walk past someone in the same situation and do nothing. I'm sorry about your sister, Freya said softly. And thank you for helping me, even if the solution is complicated. About that, Caspian said, your ex strikes me as the type who won't give up easily. He'll want to verify this story, which means you might need to maintain the fiction for a while. Freya felt panic rising. I can't fake an entire pregnancy. That's insane. I'm not suggesting you do, Caspian said, but if you're willing, we could maintain the appearance of a relationship just until he backs off. Public appearances, social media posts, that sort of thing, enough to convince him you've moved on. Why would you do that? Freya asked suspiciously. What do you get out of this? Caspian smiled slightly. Would you believe me if I said it was purely altruistic? No? Smart woman. He leaned back in his chair. Fine. The truth is, my family has been pressuring me to settle down for years. I'm 36, unmarried, and according to my mother, wasting my life on spreadsheets. A fake fiancé would get them off my back. And a fake pregnant fiancé, that would make them ecstatic enough to leave me alone for months. So we'd both be using each other, Freya said slowly. We'd both be benefiting from a mutually convenient arrangement, Caspian corrected. You get protection from your ex. I get freedom from my matchmaking family, and neither of us has to deal with the complications of an actual relationship. It was crazy. Absolutely insane. But as Freya thought about Derek's obsessive behavior, about the fear she felt every time she left her apartment, about 6 months of looking over her shoulder, she heard herself say, "Let's do it." Over the next few weeks, Freya and Caspian built their cover story. They'd met at a charity gala 6 months ago. Shortly after Freya's breakup with Derek, they'd connected over a shared love of classic films and had been dating secretly to avoid media attention. The pregnancy was unplanned, but welcome, and they'd gotten engaged a month ago. "Memorize these details," Caspian said during one of their briefing sessions at his penthouse. "Derek will be looking for inconsistencies." "This is like preparing for a witness testimony," Freya observed, studying the timeline they'd created. "I went to law school before business school," Caspian admitted. "Old habits die hard." They staged their first public appearance at an upscale restaurant, making sure to be photographed. Caspian's hand protectively on Freya's back, her hand resting on her baby bump, a small pillow artfully concealed under a flowing dress. The photos hit social media within hours, and Freya's phone exploded with messages from shocked friends. "At least Derek will definitely see these," Caspian observed, scrolling through the posts on his own phone. "Is it wrong that I'm enjoying this a little?" Freya admitted. "The look on people's faces when they see these photos. It's satisfying." Caspian smiled. "Perfectly healthy, I'd say. You deserve to feel powerful instead of hunted." But maintaining the fiction proved more complicated than either anticipated. Caspian's family wanted to meet her immediately, which meant an uncomfortable dinner where Freya had to pretend to be madly in love with a man she barely knew. "So, Freya," Caspian's mother Eleanor said over dessert, "tell us how our son proposed." Freya and Caspian exchanged glances. They hadn't prepared for this. "It was very private," Caspian said smoothly, taking Freya's hand. "Nothing elaborate. Just the two of us and what needed to be said." "He took me to the Brooklyn Bridge at sunset," Freya found herself adding, surprising herself with the detail. "He said he wanted to propose somewhere that represented a crossing from who we were separately to who we'd become together." The words felt surprisingly real as she said them, and something flickered in Caspian's eyes. Appreciation, maybe, deeper. "That's beautiful," Eleanor said, tears in her eyes. "My romantic boy. I always knew he had it in him." After dinner, as Caspian drove Freya home, he said quietly, "The Brooklyn Bridge. That was a nice touch." "I have no idea where that came from," Freya admitted. "It just felt right." "It was perfect," Caspian said. "Thank you for playing along so well. I know meeting my family wasn't part of our agreement." "They're lovely," Freya said honestly. "Your mother is sweet." "She's thrilled," Caspian replied. "She's been waiting for grandchildren for a decade. This fake pregnancy is her dream come true." He paused. "I'm sorry about that, by the way. When we end this arrangement, she's going to be heartbroken." "When we end it?" Freya repeated, and realized with a start that she hadn't thought about the end. She'd been so focused on the now, on feeling safe, on Derek finally backing off, on these strange evenings with Caspian that felt less like an arrangement and more like dates. 3 months into their fake relationship, things shifted. Derek had finally stopped his surveillance, scared off by Caspian's lawyers and the very public evidence of Freya's new life. But Freya found herself reluctant to end the arrangement. "We should probably start planning our breakup," Caspian said one evening as they reviewed their schedule of upcoming public appearances. "Derek's been quiet for 6 weeks. The threat seems to have passed." "Right," Freya said, ignoring the sinking feeling in her stomach. "That makes sense. Unless—" Caspian trailed off, not meeting her eyes. "Unless you'd like to continue for a while longer? My mother's birthday is next month, and she's already planning to announce the pregnancy to extended family. It would be awkward if we broke up before then." "Sure," Freya agreed too quickly. "We can wait until after her birthday." But Eleanor's birthday came and went, and neither of them brought up ending the arrangement again. Instead, they fell into a comfortable routine. Dinners together several times a week, weekend brunches, late-night phone calls that had nothing to do with maintaining their cover story and everything to do with actually wanting to talk to each other. "I think we might have a problem," Freya's best friend Simone said one afternoon over coffee. "You're falling for your fake fiancé." "Don't be ridiculous," Freya protested. "This is purely practical." Purely practical relationships don't involve you smiling at your phone every time he texts," Simone observed, "or talking about him constantly, or buying that expensive coffee he likes just to have at your apartment in case he stops by." "He's been incredibly kind to me," Freya defended. "After everything with Derek, it's nice to feel safe with someone." "It's more than feeling safe," Simone said gently. "You're in love with him, Freya. The question is, does he feel the same way?" The question haunted Freya over the next few days. She found herself analyzing every interaction with Caspian, looking for signs that this was more than an arrangement for him too. The way he always held doors for her, how he'd started keeping her favorite tea at his apartment, the gentle way he'd touch her back when they were in public, lingering just a moment longer than necessary. The breaking point came at a charity gala, the kind of event where their fake relationship would be on full display. Freya wore a flowing dress that accommodated her pregnancy, and Caspian looked devastating in a tuxedo. "You look beautiful," he said when he picked her up, and something in his voice made her breath catch. At the gala, they moved through the crowd as they'd done at a dozen events before, Caspian's hand on her back, her hand occasionally resting on his arm. But tonight felt different. The touches lingered, their eyes met and held. When they danced, Caspian pulled her closer than strictly necessary. "Freya," he said softly as they swayed to the music, "I need to tell you something." "What?" Her heart was racing. "This arrangement we have, it's not working for me anymore." Freya felt her stomach drop. "You want to end it?" "No," Caspian said, stopping their dance to look at her directly. "That's the problem. I don't want to end it. Ever. Because somewhere in the last 4 months this stopped being fake for me." "Caspian, let me finish," he interrupted gently. "I know this complicates everything. I know we agreed this was temporary and mutually beneficial and purely practical, but I've fallen in love with you, Freya, really actually in love, and I needed you to know before this went any further." Freya stared at him, her heart pounding so hard she could barely breathe. "You're in love with me?" "Completely," Caspian confirmed, "and I understand if you don't feel the same way. If you want to end the arrangement, we can. I'll make sure Derek stays gone and you'll never have to pretend again, but I had to tell you the truth." "You absolute idiot," Freya said, tears filling her eyes. "I'm in love with you too. I have been for weeks, maybe longer." The smile that broke across Caspian's face was brilliant. "Really?" "Really," Freya confirmed. "Which means we have a slight problem." "What's that?" "I'm not actually pregnant," Freya said. "Eventually people are going to notice the lack of a baby." Caspian laughed. "I've actually been thinking about that. What if we staged a miscarriage? It would be sad, but it would explain everything and give us a fresh start without the pregnancy lie." "That could work," Freya agreed. Then more hesitantly, "And after? When we don't have to fake anything anymore?" "After," Caspian said, pulling her close again, "we date, for real. No arrangements, no contracts, no pretending, just us, figuring out if this thing between us is as real as it feels." "It feels pretty real to me," Freya whispered. "To me, too," Caspian said, and kissed her for the first time. A real kiss. Not for cameras or witnesses, but just for them. A year later, Freya stood in front of her bathroom mirror, staring at the positive pregnancy test in her hands. This time, actually real. When she told Caspian that evening, his reaction was everything she could have hoped for. Joy, tears, excitement, and an immediate proposal to make their fake engagement actual. "I want to do this right," he said, kneeling in their living room with a ring he'd clearly been carrying for weeks. "No more pretending, no more arrangements. Freya Winters, will you actually marry me? Will you make this family we've built real in every way? Yes, Freya said through happy tears, 1,000 times yes. At their wedding 6 months later, small and intimate, nothing like the society affair Caspian could have had, Freya reflected on the strange path that had led them here. From a terrified woman hiding from her ex to a bride carrying her soon-to-be husband's actual baby, walking toward a real future instead of a pretend one. "Any regrets?" Caspian whispered as they stood at the altar. "Just one," Freya replied, "that I didn't fall for you sooner." "We had to do it backwards," Caspian said with a smile. "Engagement, pregnancy, love, then marriage. But we got here in the end." And as they exchanged vows, real ones this time, chosen and meant and true, Freya knew that sometimes the best love stories start with a lie that becomes the most honest thing in your life. Because sometimes pretending to be pregnant to escape your past leads you directly to your future. And sometimes a stranger who offers to be a fake father becomes the real love of your life. And that's where our story ends today. What did you think? Did Freya and Caspian's fake relationship turn real touch your heart? Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was. If you enjoyed this story, we have so many more waiting for you. Check out our playlist for more heartwarming romance tales that will make you believe in love all over again. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Your support means everything to us. Till next time, keep believing in love, keep believing in second chances, and remember, the best stories are the ones that remind us we all deserve our happily ever after. See you in the next story.